Tēnā koutou e whakarongo mai nei, e mātakitaki mai nei ara, nei ki tēnei o ngā hōtaka o Koniahi Kōrero, ko Te Aorangi Dillon tēnei, e me i kau atu ki koutou katoa. Nā mātou kē te whiwhi, kua tai mai e nei manuhiri, me ki manuhiri, he uri no te Maunga Titohea, e nei tokorua, no te whānau wano, nā reira, ka tuku te rākau ki a rāua, kia whakamoho atu ki te katoa, e mātakitaki mai nei, e whakarongo mai nei, ko wai rāua. So thank you to you both, Ana and Paora, for joining us today. I'm going to hand the rākau over to you both to introduce yourselves and let everyone know where you're living, and then the topic of this conversation shall reveal itself. Let's say, nā reira, Ana, there you go, you can start.
Kia ora everyone, my name is Ana. Paora is my cousin. We are both from Taranaki, living in the US at the moment. I'm in Chicago. Yeah.
Cool.
Ngā mihi whānau, ai ka Paora takuingoa no Taranaki ahau. Currently living in Seattle. Been here coming up on 2 years, and yeah, living with COVID.
2 years. Thank you. And there you go, whānau. In case you didn't get it from the beginning, these two, they're living over in the States, and we have got in touch with them. Henenui's actually hooked us up so we can have a kōrero with two people who are living over in the thick of it at the moment, and as Paora says, living with COVID. So we'll start with you actually, Paora. So just tell everyone a little bit about where you are, and obviously you said you've been there for 2 years. Why is that? And the pressing question, I guess, the big one at this point in time is, have you had COVID?
So yeah, I'm obviously, like I said, living in Seattle. My wife's from Seattle, we've been here 2 years. She was getting a bit homesick, so we made the move over here. And about 2 months after arriving, it all kicked off and COVID hit the shores. So yeah, we went into lockdowns and were trying to cope with all that. And the answer is yes, I have had COVID. And it is no joke.
Kia ora, kia ora. And Ana, a little bit of the same for you. Just expand on where you're staying and how long you've been there, and whether you've had COVID also.
Yeah, I'm here in Chicago, Illinois, and been here for longer than Paora. I've been here for 7 years, and same thing, things shut down in March and we went into a full lockdown. And yeah, answer your question, yes, I have also had COVID, and it sucks big time.
And it sucks. So Paora, just tell us a little bit about the landscape at this point in time. You guys have been in and out of lockdown. You've had COVID yourself. What has the process been like?
Well, at the beginning, there wasn't really a process. It was, I think every sort of state had their own plan, but there was no sort of help from the federal government. So that here I can only speak for us here in Washington State, we handled it pretty well. Everyone was sort of compliant with the masks, and our the COVID rate wasn't as high here as in other states. But it's, we are all pretty pro-vaccination here as a state as a whole, and it's working, and the data shows that.
Yeah, you talked a little bit before. You made a statement and you said this is no joke. Can you just talk a little bit about that? Like what, over here, it's quite an abstract thought for us, because we're not in Auckland for starters. We're definitely not seeing the death rate like America has experienced. So can you give us a little bit of an idea, both of you? We'll go to you first, Paora, and then hand it over to you, Ana. I just feel like people don't really understand the seriousness of this virus.
Yeah, and I think it's because they've been so well guarded from it. This was probably bound to happen. But being in a country where it's everywhere, and I personally know a lot of people who have had it and have been bowled over from it, and having it it's a nasty thing just to have as the virus, but then the recovery is a whole nother story. Things like shortness of breath and loss of taste and nausea and all sorts of stuff that our immune system isn't coping with it. So for me, the vaccination was a no-brainer. I wasn't going to take the risk of contracting COVID without it, waiting on those booster shots.
Yeah.
Right. What about you, Ana? What's your experience been like?
Just like thinking about where you guys are at the moment, it almost feels like that's where we were like 18 months ago. None of us knew. No one had at that time, I didn't know anyone who'd had it or who'd been affected by it, who'd lost someone, from like a COVID death. And so now we're down the track we've had so much exposure. And so it's just crazy to think like anyone would sort of like hesitate with the vaccination. It's something for me that immediately I was like, no, I've seen too much go wrong for people who weren't vaccinated, that I was like immediately, as soon as I got the opportunity, I jumped on board. Yeah. And even having it like post-vaccination, the symptoms were still relatively strong. So to have had the Delta without the vaccination would have almost been, like straight up a hospitalization for sure. And then who knows what else, could have gone wrong from there. So, yeah.
So you both have had the Delta strain too, not just the normal COVID-19 strain?
I had Delta.
Yeah, I'm actually unsure of the strain I had. It was almost a year since I contracted COVID. So whatever strain we did get was a nasty one. I don't think Delta had hit the shores back then.
So you had Delta, Ana?
Yeah, yep. Yeah. And sorry, go ahead. I was just going to say, yeah. So like symptoms wise, like what Paora was saying, like nausea, shortness of breath, and then like long-term symptoms like, struggling to focus, like extreme fatigue that lasts for a good few months. I also post-COVID, like just from the damage that happened through contracting it, then got pneumonia. One of my lungs was like severely damaged. I think it was like 20% capacity at one point. So it's scary. It's real. It's real. Yeah.
Yeah, like Paora said, it's no joke. So Paora, what was it like when you had it? What sort of safety precautions did you have to put in place? Did you have to go to an MIQ facility like over here at the moment? If you get Delta, there is a possibility that you will be transported to an MIQ facility and that's where you will stay until you're better. Is it that sort of a setup over there, or is it self-isolation in your own home?
Yeah, no, it's all self-isolation. So when we started to go down, we went and got tested. Testing had become pretty good. And so we went and got tested straight away, got diagnosed a couple of days later, and self-quarantine. But it was never enforced or anything. We could have been walking around amongst everyone spreading it, and so nothing enforced.
Wow.
I think we got a phone call towards the end saying, because we tested positive, that we got a phone call just doing a quick survey, but that's about the extent of that.
Yeah, they really just let you manage it on your own. Like they really just hope that you're respectful and cautious, and you do your own self-quarantine, but there's no way of there's no tracking. It's so widespread here now that I think it might almost be impossible to make sure that everyone's doing what they should do. So it's just the trust that you're going to do the right thing and, look after the community.
So over here, Over here, we have to track and trace. Well, it's encouraged. There's the tools there right in front of you when you walk into a store, when you go to the marae. Some people have got them at their homes. They've got their own QR codes. You just scan it or you write it down. So is there nothing, there hasn't been anything like that? Or there was, and then they thought, too many people?
Look, I think, because the New Zealand government took it seriously from the start, they were able to keep a lid on it. Here, by the time it was taken seriously, you just couldn't trace it. It was spreading like wildfire. So, like Ana said, it would have been impossible to trace.
Yeah.
Wow. So
there was so much,
I think we've covered it.
There was so much disconnect between the federal government and then like statewide governance that it's almost like each state is their own country, and each state was able to decide how seriously they were going to take it, what kind of lockdowns they were going to enforce. And so by the time it really became evident that it was, something that needed to be taken seriously, it was almost already out of hand here.
Wow. What sort of effect is it having on kids over there?
Well, I think schools are just starting to get back to normal in Washington, or in King County, which is this county Seattle's in. Again, they're all in masks. And there's big protests against that from the other side, who are more worried about the kids having to wear masks as opposed to them contracting kids. So there's been a bit of a clashing of heads there. Yeah,
we're seeing that a little bit here. Ana, can you tell us a little bit about the mistruths, the misinformation and the disinformation that you guys have probably seen floating around over there? It'll be interesting to see if it's the same sort of narrative that's popping up over here as well, in regards to whether the COVID is real. That's a big one over here. And also vaccination, because you both were fully vaccinated and you still got COVID. But what I've heard you say is that if you didn't have vaccinations, it probably would have been a far worse scenario for you both. So do you think that the mistruths, the disinformation and the misinformation is just adding to all of this?
Yeah, I think that, social media has a huge part to play in that. I think that people are reading 15-second snapshots or, flicking through stories, and things can snowball. And I think if you're looking for that type of thing, to justify what you already feel about the situation, you'll always find it. But I mean, like Paora mentioned earlier, the data is there. Also just anecdotal experiences in day-to-day life, I've seen how it's affected people. I've obviously been affected by it. So, it is hard to deny. If you're a logical person, it is hard to deny the truth that we're seeing in front of our face every day. So, and then with regard to the vaccination, there are some valid points on both sides, but at this point, we're doing our best to stay healthy, and the data is showing that the best way to stay healthy for yourself and for the community is to be vaccinated. Yeah.
And I actually, I wasn't vaccinated when I contracted it. So this time last year, the vaccination hadn't been released. So and again, our recovery was a nasty one. I think 2 weeks after we went back to work, we checked ourselves into the emergency room because we were both having trouble. My wife and I were both having trouble breathing. Dawn couldn't taste anything, and she's still recovering. Her taste buds are still recovering almost a year on. So if you like your food, just go get the vaccination.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the craziest
Free
part
the taste
for me.
buds.
Oh, that was wild. The day, that's how I knew, because I was vaccinated, plus Chicago's pretty strict with the mask mandate. So I've been pretty safe. But the Delta is just, this is what I'll say to people. The Delta is just really powerful. and to protect yourself, to protect your whānau, your older loved ones, just to be safe. But the Delta's so strong. But the thing that got me was the lack of taste and smell. And straight away I was like, oh, damn. And that's a crazy experience. I never had anything like that. It was the worst because I like to eat.
Yeah. So how are you now, Ana?
I'm good now. So I got it in July. And it's probably taken me up until the last couple of weeks. Like I said, I got pneumonia as a result. So that took a long time to get over as well. But it's just the fatigue that's what is hard. Is you just have this chronic fatigue that lasts a while. But I've been lucky because I was vaccinated and because I was relatively healthy. My recovery was a lot faster than what it could have been had I not been vaccinated. So. Yeah.
Is there a mask mandate also in Washington, Paora?
Yeah, so we in June it got dropped because we would the hospitalization rates were down and cases were down. Then the Delta strain hit, and we actually ended up going back into a mask mandate in I think it was August or something. But it's if you go to a restaurant, you mask up, you get at your table, you take your mask. So it's it's a little bit laxed, but it's if you, especially in the supermarkets, you have to wear it. If you got public transport, I just caught a plane to DC on the weekend and masked the whole time. So we're hoping to, and I think the recent stats are saying that Washington State's down on cases, so hopefully that means loosening up on the mask mandates.
Yeah,
it's just so serious. So Ana, has the vaccination been mandated in your state? So over here they're starting to mandate it with certain professions, that if you are a school teacher.
Yeah, I know that they have mandated that. It's optional. So basically, teachers, the police force, jobs like that, the firefighters, they have the option to be vaccinated or to be tested every day. So it's not, no one's forcing you to make decisions on your health like that. But your option is if you don't want to get vaccinated, then you have to get tested. But people are still resistant to that because it feels intrusive.
Yeah. And here in Washington, it's been mandated. I have a friend in the, he's a firefighter, and he was actually against the, I call him an anti-vaxxer, but he had to get vaccinated to keep his job. So they are starting to enforce it here.
It feels it's going to be that for a while. It's going to be that I think that's going to catch on countrywide, actually. Doesn't it feel like that, Paora? It's going to be something that's going to be sort of more common, is that they are going to mandate it for a lot of professions?
Because again, here with our governor has always had a strong stance on it, and he's copped a lot of flack. But he's during this pandemic he's been re-elected, and a lot of people weren't happy. Obviously, the majority elected him, but there is the minority out there that's very all about their liberties. And if you tell them to get a jab, they'll say, "No, you can't make us." So.
Yeah, it's almost that. It's almost not necessarily even being anti-vaccine necessarily, because there are other vaccines that most of us have had in our lifetimes. It's more just the feeling like it's a dictatorship or someone's having authority over your personal choice. And America's very big. Some American people are really big on freedom of choice.
Yeah. Freedom of expression, freedom of expression, and being able to say whatever you want to say, and all of that. So give us an idea of what's it like when you're out in public. Yes, you got to wear your mask, but is there any sort of is there a air of fear, or is everyone just getting on with their daily business now? Because we keep getting told one day you're just going to have to learn to live with COVID, right? And we were like, well, like right now where we are, we're like, what does that mean? Like, you know, can you give us an idea, Paora?
Yeah, so if you're outside here and you can maintain a 6 feet distance from social distancing, then you don't have to wear your mask. But as soon as you walk indoors, you have to wear a mask. And that even includes outdoor stadiums. If you go to a American football match, and you're sitting next to someone, within 6 feet, you need to mask up. But I think the fear has sort of subsided a bit. It's because everyone's getting on with it. It's here, but the vaccination has really loosened people up a bit. And like I said, here we have got a very high rate of vaccinated people. So I think everyone here in Seattle and King County is keeping pretty calm about it.
What about for you guys, Ana?
For us, I think that, like I said earlier, like back 18 months ago, that was the same feeling. It was fear. It was like, I don't want to go. I don't want to leave the house. I don't know what, because we didn't know. We didn't know what it was going to look like. We didn't know what it could do. We didn't know how it behaved or how like we should behave. But now, because it's been going on so long, and it feels like there's sort of a general sense, like people in general, for us in Chicago, I can only speak for that, are like happy to wear their masks. It's like very easy. It's super common. Like I don't encounter that many people who are anti-mask or don't want to wear their mask or don't want to be socially distant. People are pretty respectful of each other, and life is sort of, to an extent, like life has just gotten on, and we are accepting we are going to have to live with COVID.
Yeah. So, you both talked about, okay, so you both had COVID, and people who have. Do you know, have you got any idea where you may have contracted it from?
Yeah, so I think Anna, I think we've pinpointed it to Pike Place markets. We a couple of weeks prior to my wife and I contracting it, a couple of guys I worked with had it, and I'd been tested and was negative. So our guard was up, but it was Thanksgiving here, and we wanted to get a Thanksgiving turkey. My wife ran into Pike Markets and got a turkey, and it took 5 minutes. And that night she started feeling, pretty mauiwi. And the 24 hours later, I did. So that 5 minutes decision is all it took for us to contract it. So it's a sneaky one. So
yeah. I have no idea. I have no idea, because at that point, Chicago had dropped their mask mandate because we did have a high vaccination rate as well. And the doctor said at this point, and the way that this country is, it could have been, you could get it from anywhere. Like supermarkets are open, restaurants are open, bars are open. No one's tracing anybody now because it's impossible to do. So you literally, the doctor said, like, it could just like be the supermarket. Someone picks up a bag of rice, doesn't want it, puts it back down. I pick up that same bag of rice, take it home. Could have been that. Could have been anything. Yeah.
I guess what I'm just trying to do is paint a picture for people who, so they can see how quickly. You don't actually even have to come into human contact with somebody else necessarily, right? It's airborne, carried on the hands. So, yeah, I'm just like sitting here like, wow.
I would just say mask wherever you can, and just be like vigilant with that and get vaccinated. That's all we can do. Yeah. That's all we can do, honestly.
Yeah. And do they have sanitizer in that for you guys everywhere you go, or is the hand washing thing not
everywhere.
A thing? Or
everywhere? So it's like everywhere you go, every restaurant, every supermarket, every shop, there at the door you're greeted with a hand sanitizer. Between sittings at a restaurant, the table is like sterilized to the, just every,
Nth
there's
degree.
no, they go to the nines, so it's, we've become used to this sanitizing our hands and washing our hands, and
It's a part of life.
it is, yeah.
Anna, how long did you have to isolate for when you had it?
So the CDC, which is what Chicago or Illinois chooses to go by, were mandating 10 days. So I ended up doing 14 days just because I was feeling sick. But you just stay home. You separate yourself from everybody. And rest, and that's it. And there were a few days where, Paora said, that he and Dawn went into the emergency room. There was a day or two where it felt like I was close to doing that, but I just didn't want. I just was like, no, let me see. I don't want to go into the hospital, because downhill from there. So I just lasted it out, but it was rough. Yeah, it wasn't nice.
Wow. And what about you guys, Paora? How did you deal with the isolation period?
Yeah, we so first of all, we needed supplies, so we got a contactless delivery, chopped at our door. I snuck out and grabbed it, and then other than that, we didn't leave the apartment for 10 days. And then I probably rushed back to work a bit after that. I probably could have taken a few more days, but it was a mandatory 10 days, and then back to it. And here in America, it's you back to work straight away.
Yeah, they don't really.
Work,
yeah, they do.
So
and they
even with COVID.
Well, they've had so much experience with it now that there's so many people have had it. I know for me in my job, I wasn't the first person to have it. So they're like, yep, let's go. You better?
Wow. So, but is there no thought then of, because once you've had it, can you not contract it again?
No, you can contract it again.
They say that your antibodies, they say that when in the 3 to 6 months post-COVID, your antibodies are strong. So it's unlikely, but very possible still. It depends. Everybody's different. It depends how your body absorbs it, how your body fights it, and
Wow. Did you have, were your families back here, were they like, oh my gosh, man, what's going on, guys? Let us know what's happening, Yeah.
Well, I rang my dad and told him, and he told the rest of the whānau, and, because it's, no one has it back there. None of my whānau knew anyone who had it, and I'd known many people who have had it. So they were sort of freaking out a bit, and it's scary to have it, knowing you have it. But just lots of fluids and Vegemite on toast and isolation.
Yeah,
Vegemite on toast, even. So, if you guys were going to give, some messages for our young people, because our young people are getting really hammered at the moment. I feel like they are. They're the last group of peoples who can have been able to take the opportunity to get the vaccine, because that was part of the strategy too, the government strategy, vaccinate our old people first. And then they literally were moving through the age groups, and not even, and also if you were a frontline worker, then you were given a priority, but you weren't, but not the police, It was quite a strange way of how they did things. However, our young people were definitely deemed as being younger, fitter, more equipped, I guess, at the time, to deal with the illness. But what we see now is that actually they are the ones who are sort of together more. They're far more social. The opportunity for it to spread, should one of them catch it, is, far greater than Kōrero, who's been staying home for the last 2 weeks, because that's what Kōrero does anyway, sort of thing. So do you have any advice for our young people in regards to, good one, Paora, I was going to say you might want to chuck a light on.
The sun's going down. I go get the jab. I mean, it's there's a lot of misinformation out there, like being spread through social media and other outlets. It's just but not based on fact or science. I considered myself, before I got it, I was in quite a healthy state, and it knocked me for six. So yeah, I think my advice would be, I'd take my chances with the vaccine over COVID any day of the week.
Yeah,
that's a clear message. What about you, Ana?
Same as Paora, like very pro-vaccine. Same as what Paora just said, like the consequences from contracting COVID might not be heavy for yourself, but your ability to spread it on to people who are immunocompromised, or like the older people in your family, like it's just if you weigh it out, the vaccine's just it's much less risk. And I would just, like Paora, take the chance. I know I've had it. I know, all of my close friends, most people that I associate with over here have had the vaccination. We're all healthy. We're all good. We're all strong. I haven't encountered anybody who's had a negative side effect other than, the first day. But I have encountered many people who have had like long-term health issues post-COVID, and it's not worth it. I would much rather take the risk on the vaccine, and I would just say to do it. Yeah.
What's the vaccine that you guys have access to?
I got Pfizer. Yeah,
I got Pfizer. I think there was all three were available here, and we chose to get Pfizer. And it seems like the one, to have. So yeah. And they are talking about unrolling booster shots come autumn and winter. So we're lining up for that.
So that'll be you both, waiting for the booster
100%.
shot.
100%,
That's causing a bit of controversy over here too. But I guess, like, depending on what side of the fence you're sitting on, you'll find controversy in all of the decisions that are being put forward for you. But what we're trying to expose our young people to is lived experience, which is a horrible thing to have to do, is find the people who have had COVID, who are living in the States and, are getting this firsthand experience of living in places where it's been running rampant. And just out of interest, how long were your states in lockdown for? Start with you, Ana.
I think we rolled out. So we were in lockdown, proper lockdown, I want to say for like 4 or 5 months. And then they released, maybe 4 months. And then they like opened up a few things here and there. And then there was like, in restaurants, for example, like 25% capacity, to see how like the state would handle it, to see how, if the cases went up or down, or see how it went. And then gradually they opened up. But it was like a rollout situation. It wasn't just, like it didn't go from 0 to open right away.
4 months. And is that like our level 4 lockdown where you're at home? We can go out to get groceries, but that's about it. You could get outside to do some exercise too. Is it like that sort of a lockdown, or?
Yeah, initially it was lockdown proper, where you could walk in your neighborhood, but you couldn't go to like a park, for example. They had like shut down all the parks, all the beaches, all of that kind of thing. Then they loosened up a little bit, and you could still go to the supermarket. Supermarkets remained open for us the whole time. But I can't remember. I think it was like at one point it was like you could go to the supermarket once a week. You weren't like, you couldn't go every single day type of situation, and they were letting only like a few people in at a time. It wasn't cool.
What about I just can't get over the 4 months. What about you guys, Paora?
So I was in construction. So I am in construction. So we were in lockdown for 6 weeks, and then we were deemed essential, and we were allowed to go back to work, with restrictions, obviously. My wife, Dawn, she's been at home ever since it kicked off. So, that's going on almost 2 years. So home is her office. And, essential things like supermarkets remained open, but there was a long stint of restaurants and bars and everything being closed, which was, a bit depressing. But things are open back up. But again, there's restrictions and there's a lot of rules to follow now. But hey, it's better than being in lockdown.
Yeah.
Well, I'm just thinking of our Auckland whānau who have been in there since August now. So we're getting to the end. Oh, that'd be exactly 2 months. Yeah, almost 8 weeks to the day. And, it doesn't seem to be letting up for them. They have more cases coming through every single day. And I mean, this is just me with my own personal opinion, thinking, there is a definite possibility that they could be in there for, at least another month too. So it's just trying to get some sort of a lived experience out to our people so that they can see that, for us down here in Taranaki, we're kind of living it sweet at the moment because we're only in level 2, and the only restrictions that we really have is 100 people at any given time in one place, I guess, like outside or inside at gatherings. And we just really wanted to bring you guys on so that people could get a good idea of the reality of this situation. There's your cat.
He's down to pop up.
So is there any parting words that you want to share with everyone who's listening or watching at the moment? Ana, I'll go to you first.
Yeah, just kia kaha, everyone. It sucks, it's tough, but you're going to get through it. It's not going to last forever. We're examples of we're on the other side of it, sort of, and how it's possible to live with it. And just be safe, do what you can to protect your whānau. Yeah.
Kia ora. Paora?
Just kia kaha, hang in there. Lockdown sucks. Get your jabs, keep your whānau safe, and we'll get on the other side of this. So.
Thank you both for joining us. I'm sure there'll be some happy whānau who are watching this right now, and they're going to be just so happy to see your faces on screen, especially on our Te Korimako Taranaki radio station. That'll make them even happier. So yes, everyone, koutou rai, whakarongo mai nei. I think what we've heard from Ana and Paora is that we can live really healthy lives and be quite fit. And that should carry on, but the vaccination is just another thing that is going to be in that line of defence for our own health and safety, and for those of us who are around us too. So ngā mihi nui ki kōrua. Thank you so much for joining us today, and really, I don't know what else to say. I'm still trying to process the being in lockdown for 4 months, the loss of taste and smell, and all of those sorts of things. So I'm going to have to process this and think about how I'm going to talk to my kids about it when they get home from school. Engari koinei ngā mihi matakuikui ki kōrua, kua tai mai, kua whai wā ki te noho tahi ki a tātou. I tēnei wā, koinei ngā mihi mai tō kōrua maunga titohia mai maunga taranaki e tuku te aroha. Aki kōrua e noho ana ki Amerika I tēnei wā. Thank you for joining us. Thank you everyone for watching. Hei konei, hei kona.